Welcome to English Passage, the channel where learning English feels like listening to your favorite story. Language is not just grammar and textbooks. It is emotion, experience, and expression. And nothing captures all of that better than a good story. Stories stay with us. They give meaning to words and context to vocabulary. They are windows into lives and minds. And in today's episode, you look through 5 of those windows. We bring you 5 deeply moving, real-life inspirational stories, stories of courage, resilience, creativity, and vision. With every story, you will encounter powerful vocabulary in context. This isn't just about memorizing definitions. It's about feeling the depth of every word. As J.K. Rowling said, words are, in my not-so-humble opinion, our most inexhaustible source of magic. Let's begin the journey. Story 1. The Boy Who Reached for the Stars, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. In the coastal town of Rameswaram, India, a boy once stood barefoot on the sand, gazing at the sky, dreaming of flying machines. He came from a modest Muslim family. His father was a boatman and a spiritual guide, and the family barely had enough to make ends meet. That boy, who delivered newspapers before school to support his family, was named Awul Fakir Jainulabdin Abdul Kalam. Kalam's life was shaped by discipline, spirituality, and relentless curiosity. He would study under streetlights because there was no electricity at home. He read every science book he could find. He graduated in physics and pursued aerospace engineering at the prestigious Madras Institute of Technology. One day, his professor gave him an impossible deadline. Finish a critical project in just 3 days or lose your scholarship. Kalam accepted the challenge, worked night and day, and delivered brilliance. That moment was a turning point. He discovered his love for flight, for rockets, and for nation building. He joined ISRO and became the father of India's space and missile programs. Later, he became India's president, loved by all, respected across political lines. But he remained simple, spiritual, and deeply connected to the youth. Even as president, he carried his own luggage, lived modestly, and encouraged students to dream big. Dr. Kalam once said, "You have to dream before your dreams can come true." That quote embodies his life. He taught us that dreams are not luxury, they are responsibility. Story 2. The Painter Who Couldn't See John Bramblitt. Imagine waking up one day in darkness and realizing it's permanent. That's what happened to John Bramblitt, an American man who lost his sight due to epilepsy. For months, he was overwhelmed by depression. The world he once knew, colors, light, the faces of loved ones, was gone. But one thing remained, his desire to create. John decided to learn how to paint without seeing. He developed his own techniques, identifying colors by their texture, mixing paints by memory, and using raised lines to guide his brush. Over time, he mastered a style so vivid, so alive, that people were shocked to learn he was blind. His portraits are filled with depth, emotion, and light. Today, his work is internationally recognized, and he teaches workshops to others with disabilities. John didn't just adapt, he transcended. His story is not just about painting. It's about resilience, the inner strength to rise after being knocked down. It's about using your impairment as fuel for creativity. Most of all, it's about passion and how it can open the world even when your eyes cannot. In his own words, art changed my life. It gave me hope and a future. I found light in the darkness. Story 3. The voice that refused to be silenced, Malala Yousafzai. In the lush Swat Valley of Pakistan, a young girl named Malala Yousafzai dreamed of going to school. But when extremists took over the valley, girls were banned from studying. Malala, just 11 years old, began speaking out. She wrote blogs under a pseudonym. She gave interviews. She told the world that education is a basic human right. Her voice became louder and more dangerous. In 2012, Malala was shot in the head by a gunman while riding the school bus. The world watched in horror, but Malala survived. Not only that, she came back stronger. She gave speeches at the United Nations. She won the Nobel Peace Prize. She met world leaders and became a global symbol of courage. Malala's story is about more than bravery. It's about being an advocate, someone who speaks and stands up for others. It's about the courage to fight for your rights. It's about empowerment, the feeling of becoming stronger and more confident in your voice. She once said, "One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world." Story 4. Running Without Limits, Oscar Pistorius. Oscar Pistorius was born in South Africa without fibulas, the slender bones that run along the outside of the legs. At just 11 months old, both of his legs were amputated below the knee. For many people, such a beginning would seem like a lifetime sentence to limitations. But for Oscar, it marked the beginning of an extraordinary story of grit and ambition. He refused to accept the definition of disabled and instead focused on his love for sports. As a young boy, he played rugby, water polo, and even tennis with custom-made prosthetic limbs. But it was on the track where he discovered his true passion. Oscar began training as a sprinter, eventually using high-tech carbon fiber prosthetics that allowed him to run with surprising speed. The media called him the Blade Runner. His presence at national competitions was inspiring, but his real breakthrough came when he qualified to run in the 2012 London Olympics, not the Paralympics, but the Olympics with able-bodied athletes. He became the first double amputee to compete at such a level, challenging perceptions of what was physically possible. His performance was more than athleticism. It was a symbol of perseverance, of human spirit defying expectation. While his life would later be marked by significant personal controversy, the core of Oscar's athletic journey remains a beacon for millions, that limitations are often mental more than physical. His story continues to provoke conversations about identity, inclusion, and the limitless possibilities of human potential. Oscar once said, "You're not disabled by the disabilities you have, you are able by the abilities you have." That quote, like his journey, reminds us that success doesn't come from perfect conditions. It comes from relentless willpower, focus, and a refusal to be defined by circumstance. Story 5. The Man Who Planted a Forest, Jadav Paing. On the banks of the mighty Brahmaputra River in Assam, a teenager named Jadav Paing noticed that erosion was destroying his homeland. Animals were disappearing. Trees were vanishing. Most people complained. Jadav acted. He began planting trees by hand. At first, just a few bamboo shoots. Then more, day after day, year after year. No one helped him, but he kept going. Today, over 1,300 acres of forest stand where there was once only barren land. It's called Molai Forest, and Jadav planted every tree. His work brought back wildlife, balanced the ecosystem, and protected the island. He is now known as the Forest Man of India. He didn't do it for money. He did it out of love, for nature, for life, and for future generations. Jadav teaches us about sustainability, how to protect the environment for tomorrow. He shows us the power of solitude, how great things can grow in silence. And he gives us a new definition of legacy, not in words, but in trees. He once humbly said, "If you look after nature, nature looks after you." Let's pause and reflect. What did you feel while hearing these stories? Did you feel the struggle, the strength, the transformation? That's the power of language in context. Each story gave you new words, not to memorize, but to remember. Words like resilience, empowerment, legacy. These are words that carry weight, that describe not just objects, but lives. Use them. Speak them. Write your own story using them. Remember the quote. Learning another language is not only learning different words for the same things, but learning another way to think. Flora Lewis. Thank you for spending time with English Passage today. If these stories moved you, gave you strength, or even just taught you one new word, then our purpose is fulfilled. Stories like these are not just lessons in vocabulary, they are lessons in life. Each person we spoke about today began their journey with uncertainty, with challenges, but also with a fire that refused to go out. If you found value in today's video, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know. What was your favorite word from today's lesson? Which story resonated with you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your own experiences or favorite quotes too. And remember this, every new word you learn becomes a part of your voice. Every story you hear becomes a part of your understanding. As Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So keep planting those words like seeds. Let them take root in your thoughts, bloom in your conversations, and grow into confidence. Keep your curiosity alive. Keep your dreams bold. And always believe in the story you're writing, one word at a time. Until we meet again, keep learning, keep believing, keep passing it on. And above all, stay inspired. Jai Hind. Vande Matram.